yeah, so, a lot of people are realizing that the problem has been giving away our power to these false authorities, not just in terms of geopolitically, like one country or a few countries, particularly Western countries that dominate others, but even just allowing governments to dominate us just within our own nation states. So, you know, I think that we will be moving more towards like an anarchist based system, not overnight. It's not going to be a thing that happens overnight. It's going to move from like, it's moving from like Western hegemony dominating everyone, and I'm seeing the shift as the global South countries rise up against this bully. And the rise of the BRICS nations, and the lessening of the power of the petrodollar. A lot of countries are not fucking with the petrodollar anymore. This is going to really it's going to undermine Western hegemony in the world, which is a great thing. An end to inequality and a more equal world we're going to see less wars, we're going to see less racism, we're going to see less trafficking, because y'all know, like, trafficking of children that happens, with the satanic networks, those children are trafficked from the most vulnerable communities. They're usually like indigenous children. Y'all saw Sound of Freedom, I saw that the other day as well, or Haiti, or some of these countries that have been historically, not just historically, but continue to be oppressed and subjugated. Like Haiti, for example, a lot of people who are following QAnon will know that Haiti is one of the biggest trafficking feeder nations. Like, so many children were trafficked, via the Clinton Foundation into these satanic networks. A lot of people are waking up to the Clintons as well through all of this Epstein link. So these are all good things, but it's obviously devastating that we're seeing so much carnage happening in the Middle East, and I'll talk about that as well. But with Haiti, the point that I wanted to make was, that Haiti, after the Haitian Revolution, where they fought against the slave masters, and there was a very brutal reprisal attack as well, where they like cut off the heads of the ringleaders of the slave rebellion, and like put their heads on spikes to like really send a message that you're not going to do this again. But eventually they formed a treaty with the Haitians, where they said, okay, we're not going to enslave you anymore, you can have your freedom, but you have to pay us. So Haiti has been paying France compensation for their lost property because of the slaves that they bought until this day. Like, that's still happening. Like, this is why people need to do the, you can call it decolonization work, but it's really just being a truth seeker. Like, I'm so sick of people in the awakening community being like, oh, this leftist and the right, just be a fucking truth seeker. If you're for humanity, you will do the decolonization work of studying what's, the history of what's happened on this planet, and how people, particularly the most melanated people on this planet, have been subjugated, and why. And why is a really deep subject. We're going to touch on it in the 12 Tribes webinar. We're going to go into some of the history around these bloodlines. I know I'm posting so many teasers for the 12 Tribes webinar, and I know it's a little bit unfair because it's not ready yet. I don't want to be a tease, but like, I've been so actively engaged in the research, and it's initiating me so deeply into this work. It's also really bringing me very, very close to Ishtar. I'm getting so much clarity around, and I haven't really told the story of how I came to take the moniker of Ishtar and my connection with her, because it wasn't that clear to me in the beginning. Like, I can tell this story another time, because it's a full, really, really in-depth story to do with my own Hirosgamos journey, my journey of inner alchemy. And I didn't know that she was the goddess of Hirosgamos, and that she had temples dedicated to Hieros Gamos and the priestesses at the time that I took the name. But yeah, I feel so close to her, and I felt so close to her the last few months. She's goddess of love and war, and not like war in like, you know, fighting like a war of aggression, because y'all know I'm absolutely not about that. That is a violation against universal law. She was very clear on universal law. She was, if you read the Sumerian tablets, she actually taught humans about universal law. But she was about natural justice and about, you know, the principle of self-defense and rules of engagement around that. You know, if you read the poem that she wrote to Dumuzi, or the poem that's written about her, between her and her lover Dumuzi, who is this farmer or shepherd, you know, this shepherd symbolism, you know, it's a lot of like Christ masculine symbolism. And it's a very sexy poem, which Song of Solomon is also based upon. She literally says in that poem, I will lead you into battle. So it's bringing me really, really close to those priestess lineages and the purpose of them, how they initiated the men that were the warriors who would defend the sacred and who would defend the honor of the feminine and who would defend righteousness. But obviously not violating universal law, not like killing somebody who wasn't already, like if somebody's coming to attack you and your family, then yes, you can kill them in self-defense, but you can't go and, you know, invade others. And international law is pretty clear about this. Like Israel's 100% violating international law by going into Gaza and going into Palestinian territories. Like the law is very clear about war. Like war is actually completely illegal according to international law. You're not allowed to invade other countries. Like if you get invaded, you're allowed to fight back against the people that have invaded you up until your own borders. That's it. Like I learned about all of this when I was doing anti-war activism. Like check out, go to Stop the War Coalition, and you know they give you all this information. Most people don't, you know, they believe what they see on the media, which is obviously like a very warmongery, you know, most of the corporate media is controlled by the deep state and mostly the US and also the Zionists. And they are just bloodthirsty warmongers, you know, they love to participate in mass human sacrifice, and that's what a lot of these wars are, particularly in the Middle East. Why? Because that is, I don't want to say it's like the cradle of civilization, but it's a lot of where a lot of the bloodlines that we're dealing with on the planet now, and these like bloodline wars that we're having, emanate from this area and from the Great Flood, you know, which was, you know, the Younger Dryas. And, you know, go back to ancient Sumeria, which is ancient Iraq, and the Chaldees, and then, you know, over to the Levant area, you know, and ancient Egypt as well. Hi loves, that was just an excerpt from my full-length Ascension update. If you like what you heard and you want to watch the whole video in full, it's like 1 hour, 10 minutes, click the link in my bio. Mwah.